tutorial. Welcome to C# Basics for Absolute Beginners. I'm going to walk you through the essential building blocks of C#. So whether you're completely new to programming or just new to C#, this tutorial will give you a solid foundation to start writing your code. In this tutorial, we're going to cover the core concepts every beginner needs. What C# is, how to get started, the basic syntax and how to print output, how comments work, how to use variables and data types, and how typecasting works, how to read user input, and finally, how arithmetic operators behave in C#. So let's jump right in. So first, what exactly is C#? C# is a modern object-oriented programming language created by Microsoft. It is used everywhere, from web applications to desktop software, to desktop software, to mobile apps, and even video games built with Unity. It's a very powerful programming language, and it's not a lot of people that know this language, which is why it's going to serve as a competitive advantage if you know this programming language. Regardless of people doing vibe coding, if you really know the fundamentals of this language, the sky is just the beginning. Now, like I said, you can make mobile apps and even video games built with the Unity game engine. We're going to talk about that later. It's powerful, it's flexible and beginner friendly, which makes it a great language to start with. Now, for you to use C# with your computer, for you to begin coding in C#, you will need either a Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code, which is IDE, integrated I forgot the name. Something development. I forgot the integrated. Oh my god. Okay, we'll get back to that. So you also need the .NET SDK installed on your computer. Once everything is set up, you can run your very first program using just one line of code, which is the Console.WriteLine. Now, this prints text to your screen and confirms that the environment is working. So if you check the link in the description in the comment section, you're going to see, once you click on this, it's going to open up. I will show you. It's automatically downloading. Bear with me one moment. I'm just going to show you that right now. Where is it? Okay, cool. So, if you see my download section, where is it? I have it already trying to download. I canceled it. So this is what you should be seeing the moment you try to start downloading. But we're going to use an alternative because we don't want to waste time in this video. So we're going to use an alternative that we can literally use online, which is the program Maze C# language. So I put that link, and I'll put that link in the comment section. So now the beginning for us to write the Console.WriteLine, I will show you. This is it. So once you download, once you click on this, you don't need to download anything. It just pops up like this. You can see. I'm just gonna do that. You see, it's just this automatic. This is what you're going to get. So like I said, the link is available. It's gonna come up, and voila, this is what you're going to have. And then we can use it to write our code. So if I want to change this to hello world, because this is a string, and developers are used to using, you can see code execution successful. So that's what we're going to use to ensure that our code is clean and simple, and we know that we are doing what we're supposed to do. Now, the rules of the game, very simple. Every statement ends with semicolon or semicolon, whichever one you call it. Every statement ends with semicolon, and the code runs inside methods. Methods live inside classes, and classes live inside namespaces. You don't need to understand that just yet. Let me just explain that a little bit. So we have something we call syntax. Syntax is like a language. As I'm speaking English to you, syntax is like the language of code. In C#, every statement ends with a semicolon, like I said. Your code runs inside methods, and methods live inside classes, and classes live inside namespaces. This structure keeps your code organized and easy to manage. Now, for the next part, what you're seeing on the screen, if you want to see something on the screen after writing a C# code, we call that the Console.WriteLine. What you saw earlier when I put Hello World. To display text on the screen, we use a Console.WriteLine. And there's a way. C# is case sensitive. So if you write something in capital letters and then you change it to small letters, it's going to give you an error. So I'll show you that in a minute. Now, this prints a message and moves to the next line. But if you wanted to print a message and still stay on the same line, you use Console.Write. I'm going to show you that as well. Now, these two commands are the foundations of interacting with the user. So we are going to classify this. Give me 1 second. Like this. You can see Console.WriteLine. The L has to be capital, and then because it's a string, it has to have a double quotation, and then it has to end in semicolon. So this is Console.WriteLine, then the bracket, then the semicolon. This hello world is just, you know, anything you want to put. You can put Lily, you can put your name, you can put anything in here where the quotation is. That's the output that you get. But if you do not want to have it on a new line, for example, once I end this, it's going to the cursor is going to jump to the next line if it was right line. But for the right, it's just going to stay on the same line. I'll show you that in a minute so you can visually understand what I'm talking about. So now, for example, if we run this, you can see that. So I'm just going to repeat this. I'm just going to copy, and then we're going to repeat this again somewhere else. I don't want that to. Then we're going to repeat it, and then we're going to say instead is a Console.Write. We're just gonna change busy day or maybe sunny day, and then we're gonna make this let's say rainy day. Now do not mind me, but ensure that you know it's right line. L is capital, and then don't forget the period, and we're just gonna run it. You can see now it's not showing here, but what it means, the difference between this and this is start selling small here will jump to the next line immediately. But if you use this, right, you do not have to jump anywhere. Let me say hot day. Let me say hot summer. Then we run. Okay, cool. So now you can see our code jumps when we used write line to the next line. And then when we used write, we have rainy day. Instead of moving to the next line, it just wrote it beside it. So when you're trying to, you know, maybe you're trying to make sure that everything stays on the same line, you can use write, and you're trying to, you know, itemize something, then you can use write line. So that's what it meant. So let's go back to our tutorial. Okay, so now that we got this part, we're just gonna go to the next segment. Okay, so you're in a dating app, for example, and you're trying to win a girl's heart, and you're trying to see what's the best come up line, what's the best thing I can say to catch attention, and you just want to say one word because you're shy, you're like, or a sentence. So when you want to write comment in your code and you're not going to write it beyond the first line, you use double slash, forward slash twice, and it does not have an ending. You don't need to put another one here. So, hey, what's up? My name is this. But when you're trying to say something that's going to go beyond one line, then you use, for the multi-comment segment, you use forward slash and the star, and then you put star and then forward slash because it has an end. So I'll show you an example again using this that we just did. So we can say that's more. And the thing about writing comment is it does not show in the compiler. It's not going to show. So you see, we grade this out. It's not showing. So now, assuming that we don't want to do that for this one, we want to make sure that because it's more than one line that we are trying to put a comment on, we want to make sure. So now when we run this, you can see only the rainy day and hot summer is showing. The first two lines, because it's a multi-comment, is not showing. And you can see the difference that we did not need to have like an end when we did the first one. So let's try something interesting here. Let's see. I'm gonna try to run. It works, but you don't need it. You can see the sunny day is still showing, so obviously that comment did not work. Let's see. Let's try something else. At this point, we're just playing. You see, when you put the forward slash at the end, it's not working because that's not where it's supposed to be. It should be at the beginning of where you want your comment to be. And that's it. Okay, so we got that part figured out. So let's continue. So like I mentioned, you're trying to, get you're on an online matchmaking app, you're trying to get somebody interested in you, and you're trying to see, okay, what are the things I can, the notes I can, comments I can say to ensure and engage with this person. Comments and notes that you leave inside your code. They're ignored by the compiler, but they help you and others to understand what the code is doing. You use double slashes for single comment, and then you use a slash and star format for multi-line comments. Good comments make your code easier to read and maintain. So that's about that. Now we have variables and data types. So what are variables? Variables are containers that store data. So think of it like a bowl of soup storing different things, and maybe you have a bowl of fruits. We have mangoes inside this, we have pineapple, we have watermelon. Variables are containers that store data. In C#, every variable must have a type. So for mango, for example, we have cherry mango, we have the other type of mango, it must have a type. For example, if you look at this, we have the integer int, that's what it's called. The int has a name. What is the name that you want to give your integer? Now we're using the dating profile example. We're looking at it from that point. Now let's take a look and say, for example, you want to type in your age on this dating app and say, okay, you're 20 years old, right? And you want to put it, and you want to give it a name. You see something age on there, so you automatically understand that's what you're supposed to do. It's always good to have descriptive names for your data types. So we have the integer, and then we have the age, the name that we give it, and then we have the equal sign to tell us the value, which is 20, which is how old you are. Now we have other ones called string. Now integer is used when you're trying to use numbers. Now a string when you're trying to use text. Float is used when you're trying to put decimals. Double is used when you have a large, you're looking for a larger, set of decimals. And bool is used when you're doing true or false. I'm going to show you an example. Do not worry. So we have a string name. Maybe you have a username. You can see that my username, I wrote user and then the name is in capital. This is a camel case that is used when writing programming language. It's not compulsory. It just makes it very distinctive and it's interesting. So now for string, we said strings are texts, right? Now, obviously, if you put 20 in front of this string, it's going to give you an error. So you're saying your username for this, matchmaking or dating app is Joyful Giants. So obviously, and a lady that sees this might say, oh, perhaps this person is chirpy and possibly a big person or tall, trying to make it descriptive without using or disclosing your personal information on a public app. You're using this. Now, if you go to the float, which is the decimal, now decimals obviously would have the period in front of a bunch of numbers. Now the cool thing about float is it's not like the others where you just say 20. You can see there is no 20i, it's just 20. For the string, there's no Joyful Giants s, it's just Joyful Giants, the name that you have given it. But for float, on the other hand, you have to write the first letter to let us know it's actually a float you're trying to write. And do not forget your semicolon, because if you do, you're not going to be able to continue with the code. It's going to give you an error. So I'm going to show you a visual example to us as we go along. So just bear with me one moment. So C# has several built-in data types. Int is for whole numbers, floats and doubles are for decimals. Double being more precise. String stores text and bool stores true or false. For example, if they ask you in the dating app, what's your favorite color? Is your favorite color blue? True or false? Yes or no? That's what we use bool for. The full term is called Boolean, and it's for choosing true or false values. Now, choose the right data types helps your program run efficiently. Now we have what we called casting. Casting is like, I'm going to use a visual example, is like when you're trying to make elubo, which is a type of West African meal. You're trying to make this elubo into amala, and you turn this amala that is cold back into amala that is now hot. That's what we call casting. You're changing the form, but the substance is still the same. You have watermelon, you're trying to decide whether you should cut it into smaller cubes or you should juice it. You're trying to change the form of the pineapple or the watermelon. That is what we call casting. So then we have two types of casting. We have the implicit casting and we have the explicit casting. The implicit casting is automatically done for you by the compiler. A cast happens automatically. So for example, you can see for my integer, I called it x and I named it and I gave it a value of 5. Now, if I want to convert it back to something bigger, now I'm changing it to double. And I'm saying my double's name is y, and now this y is also equal to x. So in this case, I'm changing an integer to a double. It's just automatically done. I'll show you an example right away. Now, but before I do that, let's take a look at explicit. Explicit is casting you convert manually. So it's usually when you're trying to make something bigger to make it smaller. So you're trying to make this double that you call the D, which is 9.7. Remember that doubles are decimals. And then you're trying to change it into integer. For you to be able to successfully change it into an integer, you need to put that integer in the bracket to let us know that that will be the value that you're trying to change it to. And put the name that you gave your double, which is a D, right in front of it. That's how you can change a double, which is bigger, to an integer, which is smaller. Now, don't worry about, further explanation. I'm just gonna, visually explain this. So casting type, if we look at it, if we're looking at implicit, we say C# does this automatically because it's safe. It's easier for you to convert something smaller to something bigger than to try to, convert something bigger into something smaller. You need to do that manually. So for explicit, you need to do it manually. So like the example we gave, changing the integer to the double is automatic. Now changing the double to an integer, you need to put the integer in brackets at the end of the value. Now we also have conversion methods that we use, which is the convert to ones. Convert.toInteger. We're going to do this in our next video. Now we have strings to numbers. This is how you change a text, which is a string, into numbers, into integer. We're going to do that in another lesson, not today. I'm just showing you this. Now, using an example of Amala, like I mentioned before, I'll walk you through a sample example on how to showcase on your screen or portfolio to let your employer or whoever you're trying to, show your C# skills to, how to actually do this, how to get this done. So when we write Console.WriteLine, you're trying to know the cost of Amala, for example, and then we put the rights, see, enter the price of your Amala. We know this right is going to be on the same line. And then double Amala equals to convert double to Console.WriteLine. This is, we're trying to convert a double. We're trying to convert this to a double. And then we want user to put something in here. We want a user to put something in here. And then Console.WriteLine, we're going to say the total of the amount that this user put in plus Amala is going to be what we are going to give. I'm going to have we're going to have a lesson on that later. Let's just continue. Then we have the string user input. So we know we talked about output. This time we're looking at input. Input is when you have console read line. We had write line, we had write. Console is you want somebody to put something in there, just like the example of the Amala I just showed you earlier. Console.WriteLine is output. You want somebody to see what has been written. But Console.WriteLine is input and is usually a string. If you want to convert it, you use the convert to that I showed you earlier. We're gonna show that right now. So now I'm going to change this. Well, maybe I should just copy this and I'm going to paste it again. Okay. So I'm going to change this to read line. Read line. I'm going to change this to read line. Or maybe I should use the Amala example so that we can write that. Okay, so you can see now I'm using the Amala example. I put this in a comment. You can see it's all grayed out. It's not showing here. All of this is grayed out. It's not showing any output. So I put Console.WriteLine, and this is the Amala calculator. We're trying to enter the price of Amala, which is a West African meal that I talked about, specifically Nigerians. Now, Console.Write, we know that this is going to be on the same line. it says enter the price of Amala. So if I say this Amala is 1,500 naira, right? And I put it in here, it's just gonna give me, now this is going to give me Console.WriteLine. The total execution amount is 1,500 because we named our double Amala, so it understands that the total is going to be for the Amala. We're converting it as a read line. So this read line, we're saying give it to us here. So let's see if we can use another example. We're gonna have more examples. I just don't want us to make this video too long. Another one, we have the arithmetic operations. If you remember your BODMAS, I think it's called, so we have what we call order of operations, which is also called BODMAS in other countries. So in arithmetic operations, when you're using C#, it supports all the basic arithmetic operations. We have addition, we have subtraction, multiplication, division, and other remainder operator. One important thing to remember is that operator precedence. For example, in this example, we have 7 plus 3 times 2. Now, in the rule of BODMAS, we know, we know that B stands for bracket, O stands for off, D for division, M for multiplication, A for addition, and S for subtraction. So, what comes before what? Obviously, there's no bracket, there is no off here, there's no division, and there is no okay, there is a multiplication. So we have to say 3 times 2, which is 6, right? Because that's the first one in the BODMAS. And then there is A, which is addition. Then we have to say 7 plus 6, which is going to give us 13. Now, we need to follow this order to be able to execute arithmetic operations in C#. So the result for this is 13. Now, what does this sign mean? Okay, what does this mean? So, for example, I'm just going to use this again. I'm going to bother about this. We're going to put it in comments because we want to do something else this time. So, I'm going to make this a comment. And everything here, I believe, is now a comment. Let's see if we can just / in the star. Yep, I think we got that covered. What's going on? Amala does not exist in the current texts. Oh, okay, I know what's going on. So now for this, let's say 2 plus 3. Okay, it's gonna give you 5. You understand? And then we say 2 times 3, just like, you know, mathematics, the 6. And then we have 2% or 10 times 3. So here, that's not what I wanted to put in. Let me just see. Give me 1 second. Where is it? Okay, cool. This is it. So now, why is it showing 1? So this is saying 10 divided by 3 is going to give you 3. Now the remainder, you know that 3 times 3 is 9, then plus 1 will give us 10. The remainder of this division is the output that it gives you, right? That's the remainder. And then we have another one. That's it. So you use addition, subtraction. We have different arithmetic operators in C# that we'll get more into as we go along. And then we have we have done this. What is the correct answer? We know the answer is 13. Now, let me just go back to that. So, understanding the precedence, like the BODMAS that I talked about, is key to avoiding mistakes in C#. And that's about it for today, and thank you for watching. Please do not forget to subscribe for trainings and setting yourself and your team up for success in your family. If you like to do group training where you need a learning concierge service where we help you tailor your learning towards your future and your present goals. Thank you for watching this beginner friendly C# tutorial. We're going to have more of this in the future. If you found it helpful, make sure to subscribe for more lessons, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a wonderful day.